The Ukrainian Defense Forces have completed the clearing of Kupyansk in the Kharkiv region from Russian occupation forces. The Ukrainian analytical project DeepState reported this on its Telegram channel. They updated their map of military operations. According to the Analysts, the invading army of the Russian Federation has made new advances on the front. The enemy advanced near Novomlinsk, Dalny, Konstantinopolsky, as well as in Razdolnoy and Kurakovo. Let us recall that on November 13, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reported an attempt by Russian invaders to break through the Ukrainian defense near the city. It was stated that the Ukrainian defenders repelled 4 waves of assaults. Some of the occupiers were dressed in uniforms similar to those of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. DeepState wrote then that one transporter was shot down in the forest, and the second was hit in the area of Nekrasov Street. 12.5 of the invaders ran out of it and scattered to local houses. Ukrainian fighters also shot down a tank and destroyed part of the enemy landing force. Analysts reported that the Russian command sent reinforcements, but the Ukrainian defenders defeated them as well. DeepState says that Russian army has advanced in Kurakovo, Razdolnoy and Petrovka, as well as near Novomlinsk, Dalny, Konstantinopolsk. The enemy advanced near Novomlinsk, Dalny, Konstantinopolsk, as well as in Razdolnoy and Kurakovo, the report says. In the 24 hours from November 25 to November 26, the Russian army lost 1,480 soldiers, 72 UAVs operational tactical level, and 20 armored personnel vehicles on the front lines, according to data from the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. A Russian man was convicted and sentenced to 13 years and 6 months in prison on Monday, after being found guilty of high treason for a video he sent to Ukraine's security services, the latest in a series of espionage cases involving the conflict. Russian news agencies reported the verdict from the Volgograd District Court in the case against Nikita Zhuravell, who is already serving a 3.5-year sentence for burning a Quran in front of a mosque. Prosecutors said Zhuravell filmed a trainload of military equipment and warplanes in 2023 and sent the video to a representative of Ukraine's security agency. Rights activists say Zhuravell is a political prisoner who was beaten while in custody. While in pretrial custody before his first sentence, Zhuravell was beaten by the 15-year-old son of Ramzan Kadirov, the Kremlin-appointed strongman leader of the mostly Muslim region of Chechnya. The elder Kadirov posted the video on social media and praised his son, causing public outrage. Federal authorities have refrained from any criticism of the Chechen strongman. Treason and espionage cases have skyrocketed after President Vladimir Putin sent troops into Ukraine in February 2022. Cases have targeted a wide range of suspects, from Kremlin critics and independent journalists to scientists, drawing attention from rights groups. The legal definition of treason has been expanded to include providing vaguely defined assistance to foreign countries or organizations, effectively exposing to prosecution anyone in contact with foreigners.
Суд приговорил Журавеля Никиту Сергеевича признать виновным в совершении преступления, предусмотренного статьей 275 УК РФ, на основании которой назначить ему наказание в виде лишения свободы на срок 13 лет 6 месяцев с ограничением свободы на срок 1 год.
The current Romanian authorities are not friendly to Russia, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said at a conference call with reporters on Monday. Asked to comment on the presidential election in Romania, where far-right independent candidate Călin Georgescu secured the first round, Peskov said that Moscow is not closely acquainted with his views regarding relations with Russia. Most polls predicted Călin Georgescu to win less than 10% of the vote in the first round of Romania's presidential election. However, the 62-year-old obscure far-right populist shook the country's political landscape by clinching the most votes and advancing to the second round to face off against reformist Elena Lasconi of the progressive Save Romania Union Party, or USR. He also beat the incumbent Prime Minister Marcel Ciolacu of the Social Democratic Party, or PSD, leaving the ruling party for the first time in Romania's 35-year post-communist history without a candidate in the runoff, set for December 8th.
Знаете, я пока не стал бы давать никаких прогнозов. Наверное, нельзя сказать, что мы так близко знакомы с мировоззрением этого кандидата в том, что касается отношений с нашей страной. Пока хорошо нам понятно действующее руководство Румынии. Это не является дружественной нам страной. Ну, а дальше мы будем, конечно же, следить за тем, как развиваются избирательные процессы и кто будет победить.
The Kremlin is stepping up its blackmail of the West with its new Wunderwaffe, the Oreshnik missile. Deputy Chairman of the Russian Security Council and the second person in the state, Dmitry Medvedev, has issued another round of threats against Europe and other allies of Kyiv. The text was published on his official Telegram channel. The Kremlin, through Medvedev, has issued an ultimatum to the West. He threatens to inflict unacceptable damage on Western countries with his Oreshnik if they do not refuse military aid to Kyiv. The damage to European capitals is unacceptable. It is impossible to shoot down with modern means, and we are talking about minutes. Bomb shelters will not help. So the only hope is that kind Russia will warn about launches in advance. Therefore, it is better to stop supporting the war, Medvedev wrote. He also responded to rumors that the West is considering returning Ukraine to nuclear status as a guarantee of non-aggression by Russia in the future. Medvedev threatened to hand over its nuclear weapons to enemies of the United States in such a case. As has become traditional, Medvedev's post contained, in addition to threats, a huge number of insults addressed to the leaders of Ukraine, the USA, and Europe. Recall, on November the 21st, Russia attacked the Ukrainian city of Dnipro with a ballistic missile, presumably with a multiple warhead. Russian dictator Vladimir Putin claims that it was a test launch of Russia's newest medium-range missile, the Oreshnik, which allegedly has no analogues. The Russians are carefully hiding its technical characteristics. Experts doubt that Oreshnik really exists. According to the Ukrainian side, the Russians used a classic intercontinental missile on the Dnieper, having removed the nuclear filling from it beforehand. The Ukrainian GUR claims that the launch was carried out by the Kedra system. There is also a version that the attack was carried out by a Rubez missile, the development of which the Russians never completed.